Hey, hi Siva.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Looking sharp, nice. Uh, all right. So we are talking about. I just touched a little bit about the talent, the
hmm
career, the progress that we need to make in this aspect of cybersecurity, which is the future actually belongs to AI security engineers. This is fundamental. This is so important. Every cybersecurity leader uh, or team members, engineers I talk to, in their head, they are in some way thinking about AI security roadmap for their own skill set. So how do you build that? Yeah, take your career to the next level. Um, this is the session, and by Siva over here, he's the uh, I think he's I'm sorry for I guess the title is wrong, but he's at PTC. He's
No. So actually, the title is correct, right?
correct. Okay.
I'm no longer with PTC. That's why I removed that one in the
Okay.
original. Uh, but
Okay.
I have attended the sessions in the morning. Great conversations, great panel discussions. It is so hard to kind of trump all those conversations. But I'll try to share my experience, and then hopefully this will uh, you know keep people motivated in the security biz, right?
Uh,
uh
Siva, a little bit of introduction before we
yes.
start, and
Yeah,
you can share
absolutely.
your screen. I will stop sharing this, and you can share your screen.
Oh, okay. So just bear with me 1 minute. I have way too many uh way too many things open.
And guys, for audience over here, ask any question that you have. Siva is going to talk about, especially career aspect of AI security. So this is very important if you're thinking about building your AI security skills.
Let me know when you're able to see my screen.
We are able to see Siva.
Perfect. So little bit about myself. I have a very unorthodox security career, I must say. Right, I started off as an AI engineer close to a couple of decades ago, where AI was more of a research work, as many of you know. And then I moved on to becoming a software engineer. Been a software engineer for several years, and then the security bug bit me, and the curiosity never went away. And then since then, I have been a security guy. Have done a lot of security engineering work, and I'm currently the CISO at Applied Intuition. Um, so so why this topic is very important before we actually talk about directly into the careers, right? I don't want to be the preacher. I want to kind of give the reasons as to why, right? So AI, unlike any technology that has come prior to us, right? Again, a lot of panelists have spoken about this. I'm probably repeating some of the things that they have already said, but AI takes two primary shapes, right? A product AI and the productivity AI. It's very unique, right? Why? Because historically, people have compartmentalized. Oh, if you are a corporate security person, you're going to just do firewall management, email security, etc., etc. And if you are an engineer, right, you're going to be sitting either inside the R&D org or probably within the CISO org, but you're only plugged in into the product side of the house. But what AI is doing, AI is more or less touching every function there is in the organization, right? Even before we know, there are going to be functional specific models, right? Models are going to become such a commodity where people will start selling, oh, this is a model for finance, right? They're going to use integrate it with Salesforce and NetSuite, and then they'll start using all of AI to get optimization within the financial operations. There is going to be a model for marketing, there is going to be a model for somebody else, right? Very similar to how Claude Code has taken over the R&D. I predict that models will become a commodity in due time. What does it mean to us as security people, right? Broadly, there are going to be productivity AI component that end users use for day-to-day operations, and there's product AI, which is taking and touching the customer data itself, right? Both of these create huge opportunities for every organization there is, right? And both of them will create humongous amount of exposure and risk, right? I'm assuming everybody would agree to that, right? So just so that I'm not speaking in vacuum, here are some examples for you to kind of think about. On the product AI, we are talking about code generation. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry SaaS platforms is now going to have AI within them, right? What is being processed is rather a black box to the customer, right? All of that is part of the product AI problem. The risks from there are model abuse, a lot of hallucinations, intelligently end users attempting to train corporate AI to give away the information that they should not, right? Model manipulation, as they call it. And then the productivity AI, it kind of presents a whole different aspect for the insider risk itself, right? So imagine you have a globally available model for your organization. If a CFO comes to the model and says, go talk to all the applications that I have access to and give me what is the projected forecast for the next quarter today, right? The model does not understand that, right? When a janitor asks the same prompt versus a CFO asks the same prompt, right? In case of no access control, the model is going to return back the same data set, right? But models are becoming better. Companies are coming out to put access layer on top of it. But long story short, the value, the shadow AI, the IT visibility, the data leakage, the insider risk, right? The AI is going to put them on the forefront of the corporate security risks, as opposed to just leaving them in the back of the mind. Um, this presentation is primarily focused on security engineering, right? If there are questions around the productivity AI, I'm happy to chat offline, or take questions after the chat. But this primary session is around product AI. So what has changed? Again, a lot of technologies have come, a lot of technologies have gone, right? But what AI has brought to the table is the pace, right? An engineer who was churning out 100 lines of code is now churning out 1,000 lines of code, and security cannot scale at that velocity, right? Unless we also adopt AI. That's a different use case there, right? But the more code there is, the more operational overhead the security teams are going to have to ensure and sign off on the production ready application, right? The sprint cycles are becoming shorter. They have become shorter already, right? But the unsaid fact or truth is that the faster the code gets built, there is a lot more risk exposed, therefore the larger blast radius. A simple example is OpenClaw, right? I know we're all big fans of OpenClaw, but the excitement of adoption of OpenClaw, uh, without understanding the vulnerabilities that it's going to expose to, that's what security team is going to be dealing with as we adopt more into AI. Similarly, the change to the landscape, right? Gone are those days where we have like a MongoDB set up in the in a three-tier application, where we are doing your traditional threat modeling, where a lot of your security requirements are very deterministic, meaning the application team can write test cases and use cases to ensure that a deterministic outcome can be tested in a closed white box. But AI is going to change all of those things. By the nature of it, it is very non-deterministic, right? There is going to be a lot of prompt injection, right? And a prompt can be written in the same prompt can be written in a gazillion ways, right? And how is your model is going to infer a customer's prompt and give back appropriate response? There is no way we can deterministically test that use case, right? Similarly, model filtration, right? Decision making. There's a lot of shift to the landscape that we security people will have to think through when we are supporting our product builds that has AI integrated in it. Therefore, what I say is, security should no longer think like a gatekeeper. We should not be the people saying that, oh, have you done your pen testing? Good job. Have you run your static testing? Great job. Have you done your SCA? Phenomenal. Let me go ahead and sign off on the release. That's no longer going to be the case, right? If your organizations have had not been sitting at the this design table in the past, now is the time where you have to insist that you need a seat at the table, right? Security need to be part of the original design. You need to kind of insist the value of having AI gateways as opposed to having siloed AI models running in the cloud. So I call this as AI security engineer, right? Like I said, anyone that has done pen testing in the past, anyone that is like that knows Burp Suite like the back of their hand, anyone that can understand and read Black Duck reports with their eyes closed, those skill sets are no longer going to be viable, right? In order for you to be the next gen security engineer, you need to understand what a typical ML lifecycle is going to be, right? What the architecture should be, what are the anti patterns, what are the good patterns, right? Like I said, what is AI gateway, what is the value of observability put up on an AI gateway, things of that sort. The engineering R&D folks are not going to think about it, right? Because for them, velocity matters more than the security. But for you, right, securing the product matters more. So it's a very unique opportunity for us, right? I don't call this as just application security 2.0. This is truly intelligence security for us. Again, piggybacking some of that into my next chart, right? So the questions that you should be asking is, everybody's using AI, but how is AI being governed, right? If you are at a company that is not asking this question, then it's an opportunity for you to actually bring these questions up, right? What model is being used? How often is the model being used, right? Nothing is stopping, at least in tech forward companies, nothing is stopping for an engineer to go to Hugging Face, download a model, try things out, assuming everything works, right? They would want to put it into production, right? That is classic example of shadow AI. The curiosity of using models, right, is going to be the uh, highest exposed risk in due time, right? And the only way we can prevent it is to think about these questions, like what is the governing model, what is being done to prevent the data leakage, how can we actually control the shadow AI. I know one of the panel discussions, the first one, right, it did talk about the shadow AI in the sense of it, but it is it is becoming an executive level conversation, right? A quarter ago, maybe a quarter or two ago, the boardrooms started asking the question, what are we doing with AI? Are we using AI, right? Can we use AI? But now, right, give like a quarter or so, the moment a couple of security issues or breaches happen, the board will start asking like, hey, how is our AI adoption? Can you guarantee the security of it? Are we scaling in a secure manner? If boards are not asking this, they will sure ask very soon here. And once the floor opens up for questions, right? uh, if you are a CISO and your board is not talking about this, right, or if they're talking about something else, I would be delighted to learn like what is the priority for your board at this time. All right. So the skill sets, right? Nobody is going to expect you to become a model engineer, right? Nobody is expecting you to sit and build a model, but you need to kind of, from a security standpoint, you need to understand the like I said, patterns and anti-patterns, LLM architectures, and what are the ML and adversarial threats that are coming out, right? What is the internal policy, process, and framework that you can reasonably impose with the R&D teams, right? You need to influence the R&D teams than just telling them that, oh, you can go ahead and use Cloud Code. No, you cannot use Codex, right? That's basically a checkbox security, right? You need to kind of influence them as to what can and cannot be done, right? So for the organizations, and I think a few people talked about this, the approach itself, right? So for any company that wants to secure and scale AI, the security engineers are expected to do this, right? At least this is what I have been doing and have been implementing with certain level of success, right? I call this as an AI control plane ecosystem, right? um, like I said, e- everybody is curious about AI, right? The finance team is using ChatGPT, putting all of their documentation up there, trying to infer things. McKinsey actually has done a survey saying, uh, uh, you know, almost 30% of the organizational staff, right, started using ChatGPT and unknowingly started sharing corporate information with ChatGPT, right? Or the likes of ChatGPT. I'm not trying to single out ChatGPT, but the likes of ChatGPT. And all of this is unintentional. These folks, they have no malice bone in their body. They're not trying to exfiltrate data. It is the curiosity. It is essentially saying, oh, I don't have to read the entire security policy document. Let me go ahead and upload this to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize for me, right? The intention is true, right? But the action is not, right? Therefore, what you need to ask is, what are the AI assets in the company today, right? What is the data lineage, right? What can the AI see? What can it touch? What can it read? What can it interpret? Right? Who can access it, and what are the levels of the controls around it? Right? Does the CEO has this exact same access that of an engineer? Right? The monitoring, right? I talked about the observability, right? You need to have a sense of observability as to what kind of prompts are being put in. Does the prompts wire with PII, PCI data, or PHI data of the sorts, right? If that is the case, today the models do not reject that prompts. They can. The models are not trained to say no for an answer, right? So you ask ChatGPT or Claude, hey, what do you think about me? Right? With very limited information, it will try to kind of give something as opposed to saying, hey, I don't know you, right? So the models are not trained to say no, so monitoring is essential, right? And all of this is useless if there is no corporate policy as to what can and cannot be done, right? So long story short is, right, in order to earn the trust of the R&D teams, the engineers will have to start from the visibility and then the governance from it. I know this presentation went very quickly because I wanted to leave a bunch of time at the end. But what I see the future is, when cloud came out and about, it built a lot of cloud security engineers. When DevOps came, DevSecOps made way into our lives, right? AI is now creating AI security engineers. The skill sets are very different. I see that as an opportunity for security people, not so for R&D guys. For R&D guys, their life is going to become a little challenging, right? But the future for any of us is anyone who understands how AI is building the value and how AI is creating the risk, and anyone that can articulate the balance between these two. That is going to be the future for us engineers. With that, I'll take a pause. I know this kind of went quickly, but I'm open for a bunch of questions.
Awesome. No, Siva, this is wonderful. I definitely do have questions and others also. Let's see. So, first of all, everyone is asking, would the slides be shared? We are going to share the recording, but do you maybe want to make slides available? Um, Siva?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I can share the screen again.
No, not the screen. So slides generally after the event.
Oh, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with making the slides available.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's totally dependent on the speaker, guys. Recording definitely will be Acto's responsibility, but if they want to share the slides, they will. So, okay, let's see. I think there's a question on Q&A. Any high-level strategy to control shadow AI?
Uh, so the strategy begins with the discovery, right? Again, fortunately, okay. So let me answer this question with an analogy here, right? So when cloud came out and about, right, CSPM did not come at least 5 to 10 years after the cloud became mainstream, right? If you remember, people started adopting AWS, but not until like 2000, in 2021, right, the formal CSPM solutions came out and about, right? And a couple of years later, after CSPM, right, there have been changes into CNAP and then CIEM, right? Fortunately for AI, right, that is not the case. AI is taking turns, but there are also solutions out there that do I don't want to call it as AI SPM, but something of the sort, right? Something that can actually give you visibility into the AI adoption, right? That's what I call as control plane solutions, right? So the way to control your shadow AI, going back to the question, is try to get visibility into what is happening and who is doing it, right? If you have an EDR solution on the laptop today, the EDR solutions started looking into the AI changes. If you have cloud, the products like Wiz actually gives insight into the AI technologies in the use, right? Have a centralized ecosystem that can give you visibility into what's out there so that you can appropriately shop the access at the right time.
Understood. Um, there is another question by Jatin on for being AI security architect slash
Mhm.
engineer, do we have to learn how to deploy LLM, how to train LLM, or how shall we protect our effort to start in right direction?
Sorry,
So,
could you repeat the question again?
yeah, I'll paste it in the chat also.
Yes.
So it's in Q&A. So essentially, they're asking if you need to learn skills around deploying and training LLM.
Yeah, so I think, see, largely the DevOps or tech ops functions, right? They are taking the responsibility of deploying the LLMs, right? But where you need to kind of learn the skill is from the architecture point of view. How is the deployment happening, right? And what is the level of observability, right? Also talking about what is the overall pipeline of the data flow, right? So I think those skills are essential, right? Deploying LLM, I think in today's age, unless you are hosting the model yourself, right? It's not a big differentiating skill, right? And most of the organizations are using SaaS based LLMs.
Got it. Siva, so you mentioned differentiating skill, right? Let's say I'm a security engineer in an organization which does not have a large team, which is a small team of security, right? And I want to differentiate myself. I want to build AI skills. What would be your, my 3 months roadmap really? In the next 3 months, what should I do today, starting today?
I think in 3 months, you should first look at, right, how can you keep pace with the R&D teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your traditional solutions that you have for static testing, dynamic testing, right? They probably are not going to, sorry, they're not going to fly in the shape that they are today, right? But a lot of these popular solutions have come up with AI integrated ways of supporting you, right? For example, there are products that are not just looking at the code and telling you what the vulnerabilities are. They are now also giving the patched code, right? So you need to bring about adoption into these solutions. They are going to tectonically shift, right, how security engineering overhead is going to be reduced, right? That's one thing. The second thing that you need to think about is what is normal for the organization, right? For example, if you are a GitHub ecosystem, right, there is GitHub Copilot, right? But you know R&D people prefer Claude, right? Or somebody else prefers Codex, right? I think standardizing from a security standpoint, whether it is a security decision or R&D decision, it doesn't matter, right? But I think you need to think about, are we speaking the same language across the board, right? Are we able to identify the usage, the risks, and be able to communicate that to your cross-functional security council if there is one? I think that is what you need to think about. In 3 months, I want to be able to communicate the visibility into the AI usage in the company. I think if you start that as a target, you can work backwards from there.
Got it. That's that's wonderful. So what you're essentially saying is maybe if you're starting now, and of course you have to build your skill, but at the same time show some little bit of success in this area, right? So the way to do it is start actually executing a little bit of projects here, maybe with AI
Right.
visibility or
Yes. So AI visibility on the corporate level, automation with AI on the security level. right?
Mm.
So like I said, if an engineer is churning out 100 lines of code, right, and your check marks is now showing like 500 vulnerabilities, they're never going to fix it. All of it is going to become a backlog, right? Maybe what the change need to be is, okay, let me go ahead and adopt a solution that is not just identifying vulnerabilities, but that is also giving, right, what the patch solution for that is, and have engineering teams adopt this AI solution and security. So one of the things I keep saying is that the new security champion is not a human. The new security champion is going to be an AI agent, right? I think that is the theme across multiple functions, and I think that should be the target for the security teams as well, right? Am I using AI to support my R&D team's velocity? If the answer for that is no, right, then you'll be left behind.
Yeah. No, I love that thought. The new security champion is not a human. The new security champion is an AI agent. And you, as a security engineer or security team, should be embracing that to your advantage. Correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
And given, I mean, just latest news is Anthropic releasing their code security solution. So, I mean, the things are changing, right? Like you should be using these kind of tools to your advantage
Hmm.
as an AI security engineer.
Hmm.
The next
So
question, yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no. It's not just your traditional AI security engineering, right? Oh, sorry, traditional security engineering. The impact is happening across the board. If you think about in a manager services and SOC, right? The 24/7 monitoring, it used to be a human capital problem, right? We cannot have a 24/7 SOC coverage, so we go with MDR solutions, we go with MSSP solutions, right? But lately, right, this is what cloud has done, right? They actually built this whole ecosystem where most of the events that are not necessarily incidents are triaged and addressed even before a human even looks at an alert.
Yeah, correct. I mean, SOC is getting disrupted completely with agent and AI, and I was expecting this to happen to code also soon enough, but yeah, it happened. It is happening as we speak. I think the last thing I want to ask is maybe Siva, we talked a lot about AI security engineering team to develop the skill. How about CISOs or cybersecurity leaders when they're building these teams?
Mhm,
What what should they think about? There's definitely shortage of talent in AI security or in anything AI right now.
mhm,
How should they think about building the team? From a hiring standpoint, B, helping the existing team to build the skills.
mhm. So there are three aspects here, right? A CISO should be thinking about partnerships and risk, right? So again, depends on the size of the organization, depends on the power play, depends on who owns what, who does what, right? A lot of large organizations are carving out a separate function called AI strategy or AI strategy council. Some companies have committees, right? Some companies have teams entirely, right? So which is basically bringing about the AI adoption to them. So as a CISO, right, they need to partner with them to understand, hey, you are going to drive AI, right? But let me be the person that ensures it is being done in a safe and secure fashion, right? So CISOs should be looking at the partnership, and in some organizations, the responsibility falls on the CIO, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all assets, right? Uh, CIO probably is going to be more worried about what kind of AI assets are we using, and then CISO is worried about are these assets secure or if it is exposure. So it's for CISO, it's going to come down to relationships and being able to identify and communicate the risk to the board or otherwise, right? That's on the CISO level. Now, to answer your second question, or the second factor, about how should we think about hiring people. If you go and look for go on LinkedIn right now, and then look for AI security engineer, you barely find people, because this is a more nascent thing, right? You cannot hire for skill at this time. What you need to hire for is curiosity, right? You need to hire people who are resilient, who can see long term, who understands that, hey, this is changing, and let me be in the forefront, let me put my hands on the keyboard, let me build something with cloud, let me try and automate something, let me fix, contribute to open source, etc., etc. You need to bring on board, if you're hiring, that is, you need to bring on board people, right, who has security experience, but also has the curiosity towards securing AI, right? You're hiring for the attitudes, you're not hiring for the skills in this case, right? Last question that you brought up, which is the how do you upskill, right? uh, like I said, right, make the world your oyster, right? Like cloud has become so cheap, right? People will have to start deploying. If there are younger engineers who has not deployed OpenClaw yet on their personal machines to fool around, right, then I don't know, like, how are they spending their you know again, I'm not questioning their family time, I'm not questioning their playtime or hobbies, right? But the world, as we see, is changing, right? And in order for us to keep up with it, you need to understand the change, and you don't understand the change unless you try things yourself, right? In a safe space. Don't put OpenClaw on your on your work laptop and then worry later. But you need to kind of think through what is out there, what's coming out and about. Do I understand it, right? How is it going to change my career, my life, and what can I do to actually secure this? What can you do to bring this into the company? These are the questions that one should ask for upskilling.
Awesome. Thank you, Siva. This is wonderful. I think the on the last note, what Siva is basically asking all the security teams and security engineers and CISOs is to be hungry, be curious, be experimental in this AI age right now, for you to be successful in not just AI security but any kind of AI career. Right now, nobody is expert of 10 years in AI. AI is so new. So you have to, as I always say, that you have to be learning every day with AI. If you're not doing that, you're going to be left behind soon enough. So thank you. Thanks, Eva. Thank you
Thanks.
for the wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.